Hunter's not taking a stand. He's not going to pass cross-examination. The reason Hunter's not going to take the stand, and from what I hear, the dad's bought a new truck, the mom's got a new 8-bedroom house. The dad, there's already text messages about the dad bragging on going on European tours. Fuck you, Metcalf Daddy. You're a fucking puss.
Metcalf
You should beat those boys' mom. And I'm going to tell you why they're not bringing up the fact that these both guys knew jiu-jitsu. We're not even going to worry about them not bringing it up. We don't have to bring up the fact that Austin knows jiu-jitsu, trained since he was a kid. We'll wait to the closing arguments to do that. We won't bring up the fact that Austin and Hunter both kicked their dad's ass. He's a little short guy, they're big guys. These are some violent white boys. I mean, Neanderthals. These are some violent Neanderthals. So we're not going to bring up the fact that Karmelo didn't run. When Karmelo did what he had to do to keep those guys off of him, he ran straight to a coach. This is what they're not telling you guys. When he took off running, he ran to a coach, and even the coach's testimony, according to the police's initial statement that they got from the witnesses, that multiple children, 4 to 5 children, was chasing Karmelo to harm him.
And one of them being the black boy that said, oh, he stabbed my brother. Let's continue, yes. Okay.
And the teachers had to keep those kids off of Karmelo. They're not telling that part, guys. So then let me go on to say, there's rumors that Karmelo had been suspended.
Okay, okay, now let's get on to the next part. So we confirmed that he was never suspended, all that good stuff. I just want to get to the boys' backstory. I didn't know they knew, they were, Now listen, once again, the internet. Once again, you're not going to win with these people on the internet. Do you understand? Okay, let me show you why. It's not funny, but it's funny. Let me show you why you're not going to win against these people on the internet. Okay, this is their craft. You're on their turf. Okay, this is what they sat in basements for years practicing, learning how to do. Okay, you're not going. You're not going to beat these people on the internet. You're not going to beat these people on the internet, okay? You're just not. You're not going to beat these people. You're not going to beat these people on the internet. I'm just saying. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's go here. Let's go here. The internet is theirs, okay?
The Karmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf trial. Now, the Metcalf family was apparently seen outside the court building because they're trying to get Hunter on the stand. They're trying to get him to come. Jeff Roach is hot. Allegedly. This is all allegedly. He's not happy because they need Hunter to take that stand, because right now, this case could get dismissed. This is speculating. Hunter has not been available. They took an extended 2-hour break. And basically, what I think and others think is that they're giving the family 2 hours to get Hunter there and get him on that stand. Because if they cannot get him to take the stand, there is a chance they could dismiss this case, because I think they're finding
we know good and goddamn well that was never an option to dismiss this case. But I'm just here for the shenanigans.
Don't have a case. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Secret Service Sam out.
Okay, he's down. Listen, he's down there. He's boots on the ground. Let's go.
Anthony and Austin Metcalf trial. Morris Dwayne Turner is the man in the video who says he saw the actual video. I had an hour.
Okay, now the word is, like we said before, the kids recorded their own video of the fight. The only video that played in court was the security cam, the surveillance footage. But the kids, you know what kids do when a fight breaks out? You whip out the phone. Apparently a couple kids did just that. And this is the footage he's referring to. So the footage that we talking about, the black man, we're like, what footage is he talking about? Is he capping? Is he lying? So that's what the black man was saying. He saw footage from the kids' phones, from their point of view. But let's continue.
Long conversation with him last night. He provided me confirmation that he requested to see the video right here. I have the receipts. We have an email confirming that he had an appointment to see that video right here.
Okay. I had their following dates and times available for your PIRV to request. Okay. Michelle Arellano, superintendent at board of trustees. So she works at the school, Frisco ISD. Okay, let's go.
I also have an email that proves he viewed the video right here.
Okay. Please allow this message to confirm that you viewed the requested video on 6/24/25. This was last year. Okay, let's go.
I also have proof that Sarah Fields, who claimed to have seen the video, did not see the video, but Dwayne did right here.
Oh. Morris Turner seen it. Purdy Mitchell, who's Purdy Mitchell, and Susan McDowell seen it. All these other people have not seen the video. Okay, let's continue.
Now, he is not staff at the school. He told me that last night. It was improperly reported. Now, he said he watched it on a 55-inch television, and he believes they intentionally showed people in court grainy footage. He says what he saw was clear. The video he saw was edited into 11 minutes. There's different angles, and they will give it to him once the case is over, and he will send it to me. Now, we know Anthony had a reason to be there because he is friends with Eddie. And Eddie invited him over. They dapped it up, and he's playing down that they're actual friends. People are alleging that Eddie filmed the fight, but somebody deleted it. Now, there are also reports that Austin and Hunter were not supposed to be there, that they were at an alternate at school because they had been suspended from Memorial High School.
Now that goes to Charleston White's report of them being violent bullies, kicking everybody's asses using jujitsu. The rabbit hole gets deep. Come on.
And when Anthony mentioned that their football team sucked, that triggered Austin. And also, there are alleged reports that Hunter and Austin had a knife. So it is possible that the knife used was not Karmelo's. Now, we have several questions. Why didn't Austin mind his business? Why didn't Karmelo run? Why didn't he just fight and take a whooping? And why did he choose to use a weapon? But in Texas, a stand your ground law, like with Trayvon Martin, it was so terrible and tragic. But once he started fighting back George Zimmerman, the stand your ground law allowed him to get off. Now, Greg Willis, the DA, is friends with Jeff Metcalf, who is friends with Jeff Roach, who is the judge. Correction, his name is John Roach. They attended Christmas parties together. They are friends. And we know that friends are going to protect each other, right? We heard Queen Sheba said in court, she saw Jeff Metcalf instructing witnesses allegedly when they were describing Austin as a bigger person. So it's not far-fetched to imagine that they would delete footage of this fight that was incriminating. Wow. Now, if this was a bench trial, it would probably be over because of the friendship. But because it's going to a jury, Judge Roach allegedly is probably freaking out. That's all I got for now, but I wanted you to hear the truth. Secret Service Sam out, Samson for president.
Holy fucking cow. Are we surprised at the level of corruption? Are we surprised? Okay, so let's get to what took place in court today. The defense rested after a day. Mind you, the prosecution had presented their case over a span of a week. The defense took 1 day. I think this kid is cooked. I think this kid is cooked. Pray for Karmelo Anthony, y'all, because this kid is being railroaded right before our very eyes. Let's go. Where's it at? Come on now. Here we go. Okay. All right. So let's walk it back. About to get started with the fourth day of testimony in the Karmelo Anthony trial. Possible the defense rests today. I'm being told defense called 3 witnesses Saturday, a Centennial High School coach and 2 students. When the state rests, the jury will deliberate if Karmelo is guilty or not guilty. If he's found guilty, the trial will start on a second phase to determine punishment. He faces anywhere between 5 to 99 years in prison. And we heard that warden speak on the Sean Gatewright case, talking about we need sweat equity. We got old prisoners. They can't do the work. This will be no different. Okay. You have an aging prison population that needs to be replenished with young black workers, right? Okay. Okay. Today, teen says he saw Karmelo sitting under the tent with kids from another school around him. I don't want to phrase it as surrounding, the teen said. They are replaying the video of the stabbing for the teens to review. For context, this is the only witness so far to claim that kids had ganged up on Anthony. Anthony's claim is that he was outnumbered by bigger kids, and that's why he felt in danger for his life. After teen watches the video, the prosecutor says to the teen, "You were wrong, right? Teen, I'm not sure. I couldn't tell what happened in the video." Oh no, the fix is in. Okay. Defense calls its fourth witness, 17-year-old who went to Centennial High with Karmelo. The student was warming up on the field when the stabbing happened. The teen had no idea what was going on when he heard a commotion and saw kids running from the Memorial High School tent. He later saw Karmelo on the track with the coach. He is crying and there's a coach comforting him. He was like distraught, I think is the best way to describe it. He added he heard Karmelo telling coaches, I was hearing him say, I told him not to touch me. Court has ordered media not to release the names of kids 17 and younger. State is cross-examining the teen. Prosecutors say the teen had wrongly told the police that kids had surrounded Karmelo prior to the stabbing, leading up to the stabbing. Now, you know you're wrong after seeing the video back in April. The prosecutor says to the teen, they are replaying the video of the stabbing. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Wow, the fix is in, y'all. This is crazy. Okay, we're back from break. Defense lawyers huddle with judge at bench discussing what's next. Karmelo is wearing a navy suit with a purple shirt, plaid tie. Just saw a prosecutor walk into the courtroom. Karmelo's Anthony's parents are in the courtroom, but everyone else is outside waiting. We were supposed to be back in the courtroom at 12:30 for the afternoon session in the Karmelo Anthony trial, but after lunch break, there has been a delay. We are not being told what's going on. The defense has called 6 witnesses since it had its turn to present a case. A Centennial High School coach, 4 students who were at the stadium the day of the stabbing, and a cop. We're going back into court. Defense just rested. State closes evidence. Defense closes evidence. We will hear closing arguments in the morning, and then jury will be sequestered after that. What the fuck? Did y'all even try? Jeezy Peach. Karmelo Anthony's parents seen leaving the courtroom in tears. Oh, the fix is in, y'all. They're going to railroad this kid. So I think what's going to happen is he's going to get sentenced. He's going to have to do a couple years. He's going to get sentenced, file the appeal. He's going to take a couple years. But I think he will win an appeal to either retry this case or adjudicate the original judgment. So that's what I think is going to happen to this young man. I think eventually he will be cleared, but it will definitely take a couple years once the appeal for it to kick in and for them to review the case, present new evidence, blah, 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 saying, hey, the prosecutor didn't do this, or the judge didn't do this, or the judge connection to the family father, whatever the case may be. But it's going to take a couple years. Yeah. They're going to get a few years of work out of him. Unfortunately, y'all, I don't think he's going to beat this case, especially when your defense one day to present its case. One day, your life is on the line, y'all, and one day they're done. Wow. No, this don't look like no public defender. He looks like this looks like a private attorney. This doesn't look like no public defender to me. $4.8. Oh, he is a public defender. I'm sorry. Damn. Oh, no. Open his own practice. Oh no. This is the best they could have done? Oh man. Oh my God. This is the best they could have done? Your life is on the line, man. Oh no. Child. Of course. Bachelor of Arts, Texas Tech, Juris Doctorate, Dedman School of Law in 2004. Oh no. Criminal Defense Lawyers Association. Oh no, this is not good. Yeah, he cooked, y'all. This dude is a legal shield attorney. Oh no. Oh my gosh. How do you see, Dr. Doug? No comment. No comment. I can't even. So not only did you you went cheap on the defense. Oh my God, this is horrible. This is horrible. Let's go here.
I'm Andy Mack. The defense has rested their case in the Karmelo Anthony trial as the Texas teenager is accused of fatally stabbing a 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet. Anthony, now 19, charged with a 2025 death in that confrontation. The case has drawn national attention, featuring emotional testimony. It wrapped up today. The jury potentially has their hands on it tomorrow following closing arguments. And the case began moving forward very rapidly as prosecutors say the stabbing was an unjustified attack stemming from an argument over whether Anthony could be under the tent of Metcalf's team. Anthony's attorneys have argued that he acted in self-defense and reacted in fear during a split-second moment after Metcalf made physical contact. Let's be joined right now, friend of the program, criminal defense attorney Matt Timpanik. And Matt, this was slated to go a couple weeks, but now the state's resting, the defense resting on Monday. It will be in the hands of the jury starting potentially on Tuesday. What do we make of just the swiftness of this trial so far?
It has moved exceptionally fast for a homicide case. Both sides are asking the correct questions and succinctly, which is very important in a criminal case. That said, as it stands, I definitely think the prosecution's case is a lot stronger. When you heard the evidence, there didn't seem to be any kind of opportunity that the alleged victim, Austin Metcalf, made that would put Karmelo Anthony in serious, imminent fear of serious bodily injury or death, which is required for self-defense under Texas law.
Yeah.
Okay, the only way I could see you would literally blow this thing out the water is that footage from the student's phone would have to be leaked online. That is the only way you could have a chance of even trying to taint whatever's left of this case and bolstering your chances for an appeal. The only play left is for someone to leak the student footage, not the surveillance, the student's cell phone footage. That's the only way he's going to have a chance at a pretty strong appeal. He's going to prison for a few years, or they're going to cook this kid. Going to file an appeal. It's going to take a couple years for his appeal to be brought up. And I think he eventually wins on his appeal, but it's going to take a couple years, man. So I'm just,
Obviously, they made some of the cases, the defense only calling a handful of witnesses today, and notably no Karmelo Anthony taking the stand to share his first-person perspective on how he felt, how he saw the moment in which it all went down at that high school track meet. Behind that.
So what would happen is you could bring up during the appeal that all the evidence wasn't presented. Basically all the appeal is this: did they follow the proper procedures and steps correctly? Was all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed? Yeah, if they purposely left out evidence that could have changed the scope of the case, yeah, that would definitely greatly help one's appeal. So like I said, leak the footage.
And obviously he doesn't have to testify. Do you think there was a reason? What did they weigh in that decision?
When you decide whether or not your client, because the decision lies with the client alone, whether to testify in a criminal case, you have to decide what is the upside in doing so. Is your client somebody who's going to be able to
Let's
sway
go
the
through the
jury? Is he
comments,
going to be
y'all.
able
Let's
to
go through
bring
the
sympathy?
comments.
Is he going to be able to
Yeah,
lay
trial
out
that
what he
short
was
means
thinking
you're
at the
cooked.
time of
I
the incident?
agree.
My feeling is that that's not the case, because this is a self-defense case. You have to put the jury in your
The defense
shoes
had
at
no
the time of
defense
the
to
incident.
offer.
They need to feel what you were feeling, your decision-making process, because the burden stays with the prosecution throughout the case. But as it stands, they really don't, the prosecution witnesses and the defense witnesses didn't really paint a picture of what Karmelo Anthony's decision-making, what it was in those moments before he stabbed Austin Metcalf. So if you're a juror, you're thinking to yourself, how are we supposed to acquit this person? Because I didn't see this kind of imminent fear of seriously bodily injury or death in this, based on the facts and evidence presented, and that's required for, say, self-defense.
Yeah, obviously very difficult to kind of go through all of these. And we heard so much testimony from it, and we do know closing arguments taking place on Tuesday. Then obviously the jury will have it in their deliberations, and they will be sequestered if it goes beyond Tuesday. Why do they do that? Why is the judge putting it in a place where they won't be able to go home? They'll have to kind of stay sequestered until they come up with a decision.
So this is a high-profile case. Normally, cameras are allowed in a courtroom in a state case. So I think what the judge is thinking is, based on the social media traffic on this case and the publicity it's gotten, that it's best to be able to keep the jurors sequestered and just base their verdict and their deliberations based on the evidence presented and ignore the outside noise. That is deafening at this point in this case, throughout all major news outlets, as well as...
Okay, let me go here. What did Karmelo Anthony parents do with the... Oh my God, this AI knows what the fuck I want. Holy cow. Let's see. They received $500,000. Living expenses, take out time from work, deal with intensive relocation. I don't know, y'all. If you believe what Charleston White said.
The claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds, and it still takes several days to receive those funds.
Okay. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. If you believe what Charleston White says, they pissed off the money. I mean, the fact that you have a public defender, that is very disturbing. That tells me everything I need to know. Like, you didn't give a damn about this kid. That's crazy, man. Like, not your kid. Whoo, shoot. Let's see what they got to say. No, that's 3 days ago. Nope. Okay. So no one else?
This is the Will Cain Show. We start with a Fox News alert. In the last 30 minutes, the defense resting its case in the murder trial of Karmelo Anthony, the teen accused of fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf. Now, the court has been dismissed for the day. Closing arguments start tomorrow. This comes after an unusually long lunch break lasting an hour and a half. We don't know what was the holdup, but here's what we do know on day 4. The prosecution rested its case on Saturday after calling 21 witnesses. We heard emotional,
Okay, wait. Okay, hold up. Dumb question. This is Austin Metcalf,
harrowing
right?
testimony from Austin Metcalf's
This is
coach,
Austin.
fellow students, and the medical examiner. The jurors looked
Why does
on
it say
in
Jeff?
horror as graphic autopsy photos were shown. Anthony, on the other hand, did not look, staring down at his lap as the grim pictures were shown. The biggest headline? It came from a 17-year-old schoolmate of Metcalf, who testified that he didn't see anyone crowding Karmelo Anthony at the time of the stabbing. This seemingly debunks Anthony's narrative that he was ambushed and acted in self-defense. After the prosecution wrapped up on Saturday, the defense asked the court to move to a direct verdict. In other words, asking the judge to rule in their favor before the case goes to the jury on the grounds that the prosecution legally failed to make their case. Now, that sounds like a long-shot request. It is. It'd be like asking the ref to end the game before the fourth quarter because one team thinks the other hasn't put up enough points to win. It's also pro forma. In almost every legal case, the defense will ask for a direct verdict. And in almost every case, it is denied. In this case, it was denied. So today, the defense began calling their witnesses, including 2 students who were at the scene. One recalled seeing Anthony crying after the stabbing. The other described seeing a push or a punch followed by people screaming. A Frisco police officer who examined Anthony's phone testified, while it's against school policy to carry knives, it is not illegal in Texas. But it's what happened outside the courtroom that really caught our attention. It's the return of Dominique Alexander, a representative for the family of Karmelo Anthony. He's the leader of Dallas' Next Generation Action Network.
Support individuals who come here to sole purpose on provoking conflict and creating division. Our message for those.
Okay, so you're one of those don't start no trouble niggas. With no good troubles. So he's one of those don't make no good troubles. Okay, he's one of those guys. Don't make good troubles. Okay.
Karmelo Anthony. It's simple. Do not allow yourself to be baited in.
Don't make good troubles.
The extremist rhetoric, hateful comments.
Yeah.
Individuals who have attempted to disrespect the legal process.
Don't make good troubles.
There is no place for racism, bigotry, and white supremacy ideology in public discourse.
He's right. We did see a lot of bigotry and racist language on display last week, but almost exclusively from the supporters of Karmelo Anthony.
I'm gonna push you if I get close enough. Push you right into that crack. You heard what I said, cracker.
No,
I don't give a what you say. You cracker.
Oh no.
Oh
no, this is what they want, people. This is what they want. Wow. See how regular folk fall for the shenanigans? See how easily it is to bait people, peasants. Peasants do this shit. Peasants get upset easily and angered and easily triggered. It's the peasants on both sides.
Sidebar on Dominique Alexander.
Wow.
This is the guy who chastised Austin Metcalf's father for being present at a press conference held by the Anthony family last year. Metcalf was escorted by police out of that press conference. Absolutely despicable. Alexander also happens to have a lengthy rap sheet, including felony injury to a child, stealing a car, felony theft, felony assault, evading arrest, and so on and so forth.
Who is this?
And another interesting tidbit. Dominique Alexander's Next Generation Action Network has gotten funding from the Tides Foundation, seeded by none other than George Soros. My next guest has been closely following this case. He's criminal defense attorney from Collin County and Dallas County, Todd Shapiro. Todd, it's good to see you.
Thanks, Will.
The defense took up their case today, put on witnesses. The prosecution on Saturday rested after calling something like 21 witnesses, 17 students. What would you say at the end of it, before closing arguments, would be sort of the tale of the tape? How did it go for the prosecution and the defense?
Well, I think based on everything we've heard, everything I heard in the courtroom, I would think that the prosecution is way out in front of the defense. Now, of course, none of us know what's going through the minds of these jurors, how they're digesting all the information that's been given to them, and what the dynamic inside that jury room is going to be once they begin their deliberations. But it does not seem like the defense has made any dent whatsoever in the state's case, and certainly didn't provide any information or evidence that would lend itself to self-defense.
Let's talk about both of their cases. The prosecution put on student after student. Students that were sitting inside that tent, they put on the student that invited Karmelo Anthony, seemingly, or at least knew Karmelo Anthony sitting inside the Memorial High School tent. It seemed like, to a man, they said that Karmelo didn't belong, was told 15 times to leave, and that he was the provocateur, saying on loop, "Don't touch me, see what happens if you touch me."
Yes. I mean, that's what was introduced, and it still does not address the idea that even if all these things took place from Karmelo's point of view, that, in other words, that he felt like he was being threatened or that his personal space was in danger, they certainly haven't established that he felt like he needed to use deadly force.
Well, then that brings us to the defense's case, because they put students on as well, but it seems like those students actually ended up shoring up the prosecution's case. They didn't do anything, as you mentioned earlier, that put a dent in the case by the prosecutors or to support a claim of self-defense.
No, it just doesn't seem like that witness that they were looking for for was there, and whether or not the witnesses, as they prepared them, may have said something different. Then they got on the stand and got caught up in cross-examination and ended up saying, okay, I'm not really sure what exactly happened. But it doesn't seem like any of the witnesses that were produced by the defense side had any weight to them whatsoever, other than aiding the prosecution's case.
And then there's the medical examiner, which seems to have been a very emotional moment in the trial. The Metcalfs were excused. They did not want to stay for the testimony of the medical examiner. I believe that Karmelo Anthony's family also left, as the medical examiner talked about a 2-inch knife wound in Austin Metcalf's chest, that he bled out quickly, that his heart was stabbed, and there was basically nothing that could have been done to survive, that he could not.
Okay, that was a 1 in a million stabbing. That was a 1 in a million shot. A 2-inch knife to the heart. You couldn't make that shot if you tried. You couldn't make that stab if you tried again. That's a half court. That's a half court shot.
Not have been saved. Apparently, when these images were shown, several jurors covered their mouth. There was some gasps. If you're judging what a jury's reaction is to evidence, this is damning for Karmelo Anthony.
I think so. I learned a long time ago to try to not read body language by a juror or a group of people where you think you may have them and then all of a sudden you don't, or you don't have them and you do. So it's kind of hard to say exactly what they're thinking or feeling. But any human being, when they are faced with that kind of evidence from a medical standpoint, and this was a vibrant, young, healthy young man 30 seconds earlier, a minute earlier, and now you're looking pictures of his dead body, it's got to be incredibly overwhelming for everybody that was in that courtroom.
Finally, if you are making a closing argument on behalf of the prosecution, what quickly is your argument?
Well, I think that, first of all, how much force was needed to plunge that knife all the way into Austin Metcalf's heart? I mean, that was not just a stab, that was an absolute thrust into his chest. And so I would probably focus a lot on that. I would also focus on the end of there were so many steps along the way that this could have ended differently, and they all resided in Karmelo Anthony's hands. From the moment he woke up in the morning and decided to bring the knife to the moment he pulled it out of his bag and used it. All those decisions, step by step by step, prove murder, in my opinion. I don't believe that the defense got there with self-defense, and I think they will convict him tomorrow.
All right, then if you had the...
I believe he will be convicted, but he did not. That boy didn't wake up with murder on his mind. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. He did not wake up with murder on his mind at all. Let's see what she's talking about.
Some major developments in the Karmelo Anthony murder trial. After calling 3 more witnesses this morning, the defense rested its case. The state has also rested, so that is all the evidence the jury is going to hear in this case. Both sides are inside having an informal charge conference in the courtroom, and tomorrow morning, the judge will read the charges to the jury. We found out today the jury will also be sequestered for the duration. Judge's instructions are highly important. Will they give the option, if you don't find them for murder, then do you find them for manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, assault with a deadly weapon? I don't know. So the judge's instructions will be highly, highly important. They will be the framework for the jury to either convict on these charges. They'll be like, these are the parameters. If he meets these parameters, then you can find him guilty for this. If they meet these parameters, you can find him guilty for this, blah, 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 blah. So the judge's instructions will be highly important. But come on. Of deliberations. There's been a lot of question about whether the jury will be able to consider a manslaughter charge.
There we go.
We asked a local defense attorney about how that could happen.
At the end of the trial, either side, the prosecution or the defense, can request what's called a lesser included offense. And so if the defense is talking about it in jury selection, it's my belief that they're going to ask the judge to include that instruction at the end of the trial before it goes to the jury. And if they ask for it to be included, it's almost always granted. So the jury would be able to evaluate the murder charge, and then they would also be able to evaluate what manslaughter would be.
Yep.
And the only difference is the mental state. So in order to be guilty of murder, the jury has to believe beyond a reasonable doubt that the act was intentional or knowingly. And if they don't believe that, the next step down is if the act was reckless. And that reckless type of mental state is what can find a manslaughter conviction. And so I think we're going to see a manslaughter option on the jury charge at the end of the case.
Got to, because there's no way as a DA you're going to just say, nope, we got him on murder. And murder is one of the hardest things to prove, and you will not give yourself a walkout or an option or a backdoor way to at least get a conviction on a manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter. So I surmise he will get convicted on manslaughter, lesser charge, lesser time, and he'll have to file an appeal, and it's going to take a couple years. But I think he'll end up either having it'll get retried or just flat out adjudicated, overturned, and he'll be freed. But it's gonna take a couple years. They're gonna put him to work. And Texas prisons are no joke. I know people be like, California, no. If I had a choice between California and Texas, I'm gonna stick the CDC. Nah, there ain't no. I do not want to do time in Texas. I ain't built for that shit. Okay.